And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome to the show. This is Andy Webb with Lifestyles Unlimited. And as always, we are working on your financial freedom. And hey, I'm filling in today again for Al on Tell Al Tuesday. Again, this is Andy. And I'm joined today by a great guy, a fellow single-family investor that, much like myself, he's shifting his focus. He's getting away from single family. Maybe we'll hear about that, why and how, what he's doing, what that shift entails. And also, I'll tell you what, I actually saw this guy present recently. He gave back as one of the presenters here in North Texas. I'm in Dallas-Fort Worth. And he presented at the case study, and he talked about one of his houses, his single-family rental properties that has gone full cycle, meaning bought, done the whole thing, and now sold. And man, wait till you hear these numbers. We'll get into those, I think, here, Jack. So without further ado, welcome to the program, Jack. How are you doing today?
I'm terrific.
Very good, very good. And you're in the North Texas area as an investor, much like myself. Now, I was looking at your bio. We've met at some of the case studies, at some of the events, chit-chatted here and there, but I've learned a lot more about you just in prepping for the show. And, well, it turns out you were an experienced investor before you even came to Lifestyles Unlimited. Myself, I was different, right? I had no idea what I was doing. I joined Lifestyles, hit that single-family path, but you were experienced already. Tell us, what were you investing in, and what was your motivation to take that first step with real estate investing?
Well, I was investing in single family because that's all I understood, and I didn't really understood it. I had a mentor, a friend who was involved in single family investing, and he offered to teach me, and he did. He's a wonderful guy, and he really got us started. And he was the first step in finding mentors and finding knowledge and education along the way.
It's a good practice to do, right?
Absolutely.
What were you doing before you took that step to become an investor?
I was I have a degree in commercial floriculture production, and I was a flower seed salesman. And I sold flower seed and young plants, baby plants, to the nurseries that sell the flowers to the retails like Home Depot and Lowe's and Callaway's and those types of operations. Interesting.
Floriculture. That's the first time I've heard that particular term. So that's a very, very, very niche field, I guess.
That something it was. There weren't a lot of us doing what I did.
Well, you decided to get away from that, or did you just decide, hey, I want to do something on the side, with the classic side hustle that we hear about these days?
I had done that gig for 35 years, and I just felt that there was nowhere. I mean, I was doing very well, don't get me wrong, but there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to rest. I had to run all the time. I was just pouring myself out every day and using myself up. And the idea that at 50 I was going to someday get to 70 and retire, I didn't think there was going to be anything of me left. And I just wasn't. I wasn't willing to wait. I wasn't willing to use myself up. So I decided I needed more income. I needed more sources of income, and real estate was fascinating to me.
Okay. How long, when you started going down that single-family investing path, how long did it take you to then exit your corporate career?
About a year and a half.
Wow, very fast.
Yeah. My wife had a great business, and we had plenty of income. And we were able to live without my income. But once I discovered real estate, and I was very focused on cash flow because I was trying to replace my income. So once I discovered what real estate was doing for me, I said, I've got to do this. This is my purpose. And so I said, I can't really do both because I was traveling and I was on airplanes and I was in cars. And I just couldn't do both and do justice to both. And I'm a guy that doesn't like to halfway do anything. So I made a decision and ran it past the wife, and she said, do it.
Yay, thanks, sugar mama, right? At this point, that's great.
That's right.
So you were an experienced investor already. I was just looking at your timeline here. You bought your first single family in 2013. Now you joined Lifestyles Unlimited, it looks like, in 2016. What brought
Correct.
you to Lifestyles Unlimited? How did you hear about us? Let me ask you that.
Well, honestly, I've been listening to the Lifestyles radio show for years prior to this. I just didn't know how to do it. And I was so busy that I just didn't find a way to get to a meeting or, and I've been to Amway meetings and I've been to multi-level marketing meetings, and I just didn't really trust what I was hearing because I didn't really understand the ethics and the purpose of the Lifestyles organization. But once I was experienced, and I had this friend who's very knowledgeable, and the guy has over 100 houses, right? He was very knowledgeable, but I felt like I was learning what he thought I needed to learn, not what I thought I needed to learn. And he was a good friend, still a good friend, but I felt like I needed a second source of income. Yes, a second source of knowledge. I needed to cross-pollinate. And I needed to get away from the online kind of stuff that was coming from everywhere. I needed a single voice. And so I listened to a few of the podcasts, and I told my wife, I said, we need to go to this, and we need to join. So we did.
Now, you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area like I am. How did you do? Did you come down to one of the free workshops in Irving or do something online? Yeah. I
did. I came down to a free workshop, and they were in person at that time, right? And then I did the 2-day with David Fisher, and mind blown. It was awesome.
I am joined by Jack. He's an investor in my neck of the woods up here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, also a single-family investor, also an investor like me that is shifting gears. We'll talk about that later in the show. We were just talking, Jack, about the free workshop. Those are done fully online from the comfort of your home, hour and a half of your time. We've got those going on middle of the day, in the evenings as well. Whatever fits your schedule, you're going to find an opportunity there. And I just want to repeat, go to our website, lifestylesunlimited.com. There's a button at the top. There's one in the middle. They're all over. Join free workshop. We make it very easy for you, and you can learn what we do. And Jack, you came to Lifestyles Unlimited. You had experience already. What are... And by the way, just looking at your timeline here, you picked up a couple single family rentals in 2013, a couple more in 2014. Looks like you took a break, and then bam, after you joined Lifestyles, you picked up 6 in 2016. What are some of the things that you learned at Lifestyles Unlimited that really helped propel you along and helped you improve your business?
Well, Andy, we were investing up to that point primarily. The only thing we looked at was cash flow. We needed cash flow because we needed to replace income. And so we didn't have any idea of capturing equity. We didn't have any idea of buying with the expectation of appreciation. Yeah, we knew it was going to happen, but we didn't look at the rest of the neighborhood. We were just looking at an individual property. Would it not cash flow? How do the numbers work? And by stepping back and seeing that more expansively, which is what Lifestyles taught us, we were able to look and see if a house had more future value than a different house, maybe in a different neighborhood that had the same numbers. And so it allowed us to be more selective, and it allowed us to accelerate both our cash flow and our equity gain.
Yeah, very good. What you're talking about, and we go into this, in fact, at the free workshop and really throughout. You mentioned the 2-day financial freedom seminar, which is where we really dive into the single family on the first day and apartments on the second. But we talk about the 5 ways that we make money with real estate. You were focused just on one, which is the cash flow. But to your point, boy, there are 4 other ways. And you mentioned the equity side, the gain. Appreciation is there. There's the equity buildup with your tenants. What about those tax advantages? How has real estate treated you from that perspective?
I used to pay a lot of taxes. Back when I was working and back when my wife had her business, literally 50 cents out of every dollar we collected went to some government entity.
Ouch.
And they were our partners. They were so thrilled we were successful. But it was tough. I mean, don't get me wrong, we weren't starving to death, but it was tough business. And so a couple of years we paid more income tax than the median family income in America. And it was just a burden. Well, starting in, I think the first year, 2018, I owed and paid 0 income tax. 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, I owed and paid zero income tax.
Wonderful. And that is one of those 5 ways. Yeah. And not so much making money, but we're saving a ton of money.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah. Very good. So
it is wonderful.
And you know, our listeners are on a varied spectrum out there. Some are working, earned income type folks, maybe a lower income, not as big of a tax burden, maybe higher end of that spectrum, very big tax burden, maybe small business owners like yourselves, very high tax burden. And don't neglect to consider this very angle, the huge tax advantages that you can enjoy as a real estate investor. And you are enjoying those as a single family investor. Well, I know now, and we'll get into this a little bit more in detail in the next segment, you've shifted gears into apartments, and I have as well. You and I are kind of, you know, Jack, we're on a similar trajectory. We started buying our houses back in 2012. We just got into our first apartment investments in 2020, just saw one of those turn, et cetera. And boy, I'll tell you, the tax benefits on the apartment side, how would you describe those?
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's one of these things that if you don't stop, it won't stop. You know, if you keep investing and you keep minding your business, you just don't owe taxes. It absorbs those incomes, and it's a wonderful. It's part of the tax code. We're not making anything up. I always have to stop myself and say, when I say I didn't pay taxes, I didn't owe taxes. I don't pay them because I don't owe them. It's not like I'm flipping around something. This is the way the tax code works. I didn't make the tax code. Someone else did. I just follow it.
Yeah, and it favors people that support the housing industry, essentially, right? Landlords, residential rental owners. They're encouraging what we do. Even though you listen to the media out there and some of the folks on Capitol Hill, it seems like they've really got it out for the property owners, for the landlords, but they really do want us doing what we do. And speaking of what you do, I want to go back. I saw your presentation at a case study. Now, I was out traveling around in the RV bunker. My reception wasn't terribly good. I caught bits and pieces here and there, but the numbers I got out of your presentation of this house that you took full cycle just totally floored me. Great numbers. Do you mind telling us about that house and tell us a little bit about the numbers, start to finish, what that project looked like for you?
Sure. We bought that house in 2016. It was one of the houses I would never have considered before. But after the Lifestyles training, I said, this is an opportunity. So we bought this. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, right in the Lifestyles model. It had been updated by the previous owner, which was also a rental investor. They owned it for a bunch of years, and they renovated it and moved it on, and we were the beneficiaries of a fresh renovation. So we had light work to do on it. We placed windows in it. I think we spent about $8,000 on windows, but we paid $130,000 for this house. We put 20% down, and then a few years later, we financed more out of the house than we had put down on the house. So essentially, we didn't owe it any money. It didn't have any of our cash still in it. And yet this house was every year we owned it, it cash flowed between $500 and $700 per month. And that was just money in our pocket. And that was after expenses, after every, taxes, insurance. That was net cash flow at the end of the year. And so it was a wonderful income property along the way. And then we sold it. And when we sold it, we got a $200,000 net deposit into our account. That's after commissions, after expenses, after everything. So all in all in this house, we made about $285,000 when you count the refi. $385,000. When you count the refi, and you count the cash back, and you count the cash flow along the way. It was marvelous.
Yeah, wow.
I'd do that again.
With you.
Even though I'm not buying single family, I'd do that one again.
Yeah, and for the listener, you mentioned the refinance. That is also, going back to our conversation about taxes, that is not a taxable event. You're getting that cash out tax-free. Let's talk about the tax angle on this when we come back. We're going to go ahead into a quick break, so stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Stop waiting. Stop sitting around. Stop procrastinating. This is your time. Make it happen. Do it now. When's the best time? Now. People go, well, I don't know. It's going to crash. It's going to be better next year. I've got to listen to 4 more classes. I love guys come up to me all the time. You know, I've been listening to you on the radio for 8 years now, right? I go, and you're not rich yet? Well, really, I'm thinking about joining next month. Do it now.
Learn the skills you need to retire with real estate in 5 years or less. Do it now. Register for the Lifestyles Unlimited free online workshop, lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host today, Andy Webb, filling in for Al on Tell Al Tuesday. Now, if you have any questions for me, you can email me at askandy@luinc.com. Again, askandy@luinc.com. I got some great questions from you guys out there over the past few weeks and months, and I'm taking a few of those up on the air. I love to take those live. Now, today, I am joined live by Jack for Tell Al Tuesday, and we've been hearing about his progress and his progression as a single-family investor, no taxes over many years, due to the fact that we are real estate investors, just one of the ways that we make and save our money. Now, Jack, you were telling us about one of your properties, bought in 2016, just now sold this year. It's gone full cycle. Remind me, what did that sell for, and what was your net gain on that thing?
We sold it for $384, and the net gain, counting cash flow, the refi, which was the recovery of our down payment, right, and the capital gain, the total was $284,000 in 6 years.
Wow. Paid $130, sold for $385. Now, obviously, like me, you've been riding that unusual appreciation wave here in Texas. But boy, when you're in the game, you do see these things happen. And 280, oh man, that great numbers, very good numbers. Now you got that money out. What are you going to do with it?
It's all going into multifamily investments. I've already placed $100,000 into multifamily, and I'm subscribing to a couple other projects and hoping to be accepted and get into those other projects.
Yeah,
so
and
the entire 200 net gain at the sale will go into multifamily.
Perfect. I teased this at the start of the show that you've been shifting your focus away from single family, and this is it. You're moving it now into apartments. Are you getting totally out of single family, or will you be moving on a parallel track? What's your thought process here?
Well, it's going to be a parallel but declining track. We expect to probably replace. You know, we have this mindset we can replace our income with other income. So we're going to replace our single family income with income from the multifamily, and as we accomplish that, we'll allow the single family to go away through these capital events, and we'll sell them, and we'll move that money to the multifamily, and we'll have more investment gains from that to replace it. And actually, it won't just replace it; it will greatly exceed what we're doing in single family.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what we see on the apartment side. Now, you, like I, are going down this apartment path as a passive investor. Can you tell the listener, what does that mean? What do you do as a passive? What is your job?
I make friends with the people that are hard enough working to want to be a lead investor and run an apartment complex. I don't want to work that hard. So I make friends with these magnificent, hardworking, brilliant folks, both men and women, and then I invest with them. And so the lead investor is not just the general partner in our LLC. he or she's my friend. And so we have expanded this range of relationships within Lifestyles. That's been probably the most extraordinary part of our path through Lifestyles is the new friends that we're making, both passive investors like myself and like you, and lead investors that want to go out there and just make it happen.
Yeah, they're out there making it happen for sure. And that's another thing with Lifestyles Unlimited. You came to improve your single-family game, which you did clearly. You came out of the gates running. We just heard about one of those houses that you picked up that you otherwise would not have bought, just phenomenal numbers. But then you met people and just the network that you have access to, especially the apartment leads. Those are the syndicators, the general partners that put the apartment investment together. That all under one roof. Very, very easy to grow that business from that angle as well. And it's a great point. Some of our best and closest friends we've met over the years through Lifestyles Unlimited, very close. Watch our kid, my wife and I are off gallivanting around doing whatever. It's a great, great group. Now, what drove you? You're doing very well with single family. What drove you to go to multifamily? What's the big reason there?
One of the drivers was that we wanted to grow. We didn't really have the capital to invest in more multifamily, in more single family. We didn't have the capital at that point. And in order to generate that capital, we were going to have to take extraordinary measures, which, we could have sold this house and we could have bought 2 more houses. We could have just levered up and sold single families, bought more single families, and just ratcheted up, and we could have had double the number in 4 or 5 years. But that was a path that I didn't really feel like I wanted to do. I've kind of been there, done that. I've succeeded. I know how to do it. I see that business. It's easy, straightforward business. But I wanted to do more. I wanted to do more with my mind and less with my hands. I wanted to free my wife because we self-manage these properties, Andy. We don't do third-party management. Nobody cares about my money like I do. And so we self-manage, and it's not hard work, but it is real work. And so when we do it, when we have a property turning over, it's work. And when we have problems, and there's always a problem here and there, something breaks on the house, someone moves out, someone has a personal problem and needs to change their lease or add someone to their lease. There's always work, and they're not. It's not like I'm going out there with a pickaxe and digging holes or breaking big rocks into little rocks. Don't get me wrong. It's a wonderful life, but we see how we can improve it by going to multifamily and let these leads do the bulk of the work while we simply leverage our friendships and relationships into more friendships and more relationships. And the multifamily along the way is just kind of the gravy. The friends are what really I treasure.
Yeah, well put. And that's why we have our the phrase that we say here at the end of the show, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle. And that's what you're achieving here. You're shifting, you're focusing more, you will be able to focus more on that lifestyle by going more into that passive sphere. That's great. Now we talked about a house that's gone full cycle. You've already gotten into a handful of apartment investments, and you've had a few go full cycle, have you not?
I have. I've had one go full cycle. And then I have one that's under contract and is likely going to sell in September, close in September. And then I have another one that is on track to probably sell in the latter part of the year or the early part of next year. So that would be the first 3 deals that I got into. And I got into those the first couple of months of the COVID lockdowns. So these were not optimum easy deals for these guys. These guys had a lot of challenges thrown their way.
I'm joined by Jack, a fellow single-family rental investor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that is shifting gears, as we've heard. He's got great numbers around his houses, but he's willing to give those up. Like Dell says, you can't get rich slow. Houses can be a little bit slower sometimes, right, Jack? You said you're maybe having to fish around to get that capital to get into the next ones. Normally, we're doing that by a cash-out refi or selling. Or you can step up to the, let's call them bigger leagues, and get into those multifamily investments, which is exactly what you're doing. We heard a little bit about your approach there, divesting those houses, investing the proceeds in the next apartment investment or two or three. And we were just hearing about one that has gone full cycle for you. And I'm sorry, we headed into a break. Why don't you pick it back up where we left off and let us know about that? Tell us a little bit more about that first investment.
So that first deal that I invested in, we closed it exactly 24 months from the inception, and the total gain on that was 51.78%. That's including cash flow and the capital gain, and so that's rounded up 26% a year.
Nice.
I like that. The other deal that's about to that's under contract, we don't know the exact numbers, and we won't until it closes. But the ballpark is that it's going to be about 50% per year.
In 2 years. Oh, 50% per year.
Right.
Okay.
50% per year. So it's going to be about 100% capital gain on that one.
Very nice.
And now that neither one of these deals provided much cash flow, and I don't tend to invest in deals that create cash flow because my choice, right? You can choose deals that make cash flow, and those are yield plays, or you can do value plays, which are primarily focused on the capital gain. And that's where I'm focused because I have nice income. I don't necessarily need a deal that provides income on the multifamily. I want the capital gain so I can grow the equity and so that I can reinvest in more deals. So that's been my focus, value add deals. And so the second deal will be roughly 100%, and it will be right at 2 years. My third deal that's up, it may not do as well, but it was also a deep play in COVID, and it was probably the most troublesome, very experienced lead, the most troublesome property he's ever dealt with, and we're still going to make money.
Yeah, despite the headwinds with COVID and eviction moratorium.
COVID and the societal, the moratorium and everything that played into that, and just kind of it all landed on this property, and we're still going to make money.
Yeah, I think you've seen this as a single-family and now apartment investor as well over the years. Real estate is very, very forgiving, isn't it?
Time can make an average deal turn into a great deal.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
And a little bit of work can go a long ways in correcting things, and that's what these leads do. They're looking at the numbers and the property every day, and when they see something that needs fixed, they fix it. If they need something that needs tweaked, they tweak it. And it's just wonderful to watch them work. I can sit and watch them all day.
So you've got proceeds coming from the sale or already arrived from the sale of that single-family house that we talked about. So you're going to look to place
Correct.
Those. How do you go about finding the investment? What's your process or your thought process in finding those apartment investments to place those funds?
Well, my thought process, again, starting with value play, because I'm looking for capital appreciation. I'm not interested in income at this stage of the spectrum. And then I'm looking for leads that were stellar in their previous career, in their previous life. If they were high performers in their previous life, they're going to be high performers as leads. And so you want people, I mean, I have this phrase, I want someone that's going to just tear the top off the can to get to the meat of the issue. Every day they want to get to what's going on and deal with it. And that's what every lead that I'm in with is aggressive, hardworking, smart, and congenial. These are wonderful people. These are the kind of people you hang around with. You get such a great feeling. The quality of their character is so high.
And what is your approach to finding these leads? How do you get to know them?
I go to case studies in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I keep telling myself I'm going to go to the other locations. I just haven't. I go to case study. I go to Expo. I meet leads at Expo. And then I go to the multifamily road trips. And that's a great place to get to know leads better because it's not such a high-pressure environment. The other advantage of that is you get to meet the aspiring leads. You get to see the guy that's coming, say, from some semiconductor company that's a double E, electrical engineer that's got 40 patents. I want that guy to be my lead investor. So I meet those folks at the multifamily road trips. We look at a property, we travel together, we eat together, we spend pretty much a whole day with a group of like-minded people, and that's where I've met the majority. Those three venues: the Expo, the case study, and the multifamily road trips out of the Dallas office. And I'm certain that it's exactly the same dynamic at the other locations.
Absolutely. In Houston, San Antonio, Central Texas. I took a drive down to Austin. I happened to be out and about with the RV down towards Austin, went to the case study down there, met a whole slew of people I had not met in person before. Great opportunity. Already am seeing some investment opportunities from that short trip. So yeah, get down there. Of course, the Expo. What is the Expo? For the listener that's scratching their head and saying, well, what is the Expo? Again, go to our website, lifestylesunlimited.com. There's a new button at the top. It says Expo Plus Tour. And that's coming up. That's not going to be until February 2023, but save the date. Mark that on your calendar. And that's going to be, Jack, you know this, I'm sure already. This is in our area now, Irving, Texas this year, February 15th through the 18th, 2023, right there at the, the Toyota Music Factory area. Great venue. And boy, how many investors do we have there? Thousands.
What, 5,000, 4,000? It's a bunch of people. And it was the Expo that gave me the confidence to invest in multifamily, because I'm sitting there in that group and it's rah-rah, and I'm a skeptic. And then someone, I don't know if it was David Fisher or if it was Del Walmsley, said, how many people in this room are invested in at least one multifamily deal? And more people raised their hands than not. And I said, wow, this is real. This is real.
And you've been going to that since 2016. Traditionally down in Houston, we've had a few up here. And again, that will be in Irving, Texas, this coming February 2023. So yeah, I love that event. And obviously there's some very focused things for apartment investors where you do get to meet the leads. And I've come away with a lot of great connections. And to your earlier point, I'm thinking about making the drive down to the Houston case study or the Central Texas or whatever. Boy, at the Expo, I'm sure you did as well, Jack. I met lead investors from Phoenix, from Atlanta, Georgia, from Indiana. I got into my first out-of-state investment, in fact, thanks to going to the Expo. So great place to meet a much broader group of people for your investing. So you're looking for those value play deals. You're going to try to replace that cash flow income from your single family over time. What are some of your other maybe short and long term goals as an investor and just for your lifestyle?
Well, in 2020, right after I invested in my first two deals, I had a heart attack, and during COVID, and it was shocking. It was eye-opening. All the things, pick your adjective, that's what you want to add on it. It scared the living daylights out of me, and it made me change some things in my life. I lost 45 pounds. All of my comorbidities are now no longer comorbidities. But we also took some money that we were going to put in multifamily, and we bought a beach house.
Nice.
And we actually do rent that beach house. It's an income property, and it's going to cash flow more than a single-family property this year. So it makes us money. But we spent 143 days there last year, 146 days. And we've been there for, 6 weeks already this year, and we're going to top out at about 150 days down the beach in 2022.
Very good. It's the lifestyle.
We're committed to that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you had a very eye-opening event. I fully understand that, and it changed your perspective. For the listener, don't wait for something like that to help you change your perspective, right? You need to take action now and do something to attain that lifestyle. We have just about a minute left. Any recommendations for the newbie investors that are maybe thinking about buying that first house or thinking about that first apartment investment? What would you tell them to do?
Come to a lifestyles event, meet some people, sit on the front row. Don't sit on the back row. Nobody's going to jump you. Get on the front row, meet some people, and take action.
Yeah, going back to the start of the show today, Jack, you said you had a mentor. That wasn't Lifestyles when you started, but it was an experienced investor. You got to meet people like that. And they're out there, outside of Lifestyles, but boy, we have so many people focused under one roof at Lifestyles Unlimited. You really can't go wrong. And just to remind you, go to lifestylesunlimited.com. You can hear all our radio shows archived there. If you missed the earlier part of the show with Jack, that'll be placed there as well. But more importantly, there's a button there that says Join Free Workshop, and you can join that there and hear what we do. And think about, hey, what do I want to do? Apartments, like Jack was talking about, single family, like Jack's been killing it with. What do I want to do? You can figure that out there. Jack, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for joining me, Jack, today. I do appreciate your time. You have a wonderful day.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented